My name is Baiju Bhatt. I'm the co-founder and chief creative of Robinhood.
I'm John Hope Bryant. I'm the founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope.
And so today we've come together to share some news and celebrate the milestone in the advancement of Operation Hope's Bill of Rights. And I want to just get started a little bit by hearing from you, John, on why you started Operation Hope.
Sure. I started Operation Hope in 1992. April 29th was the Rodney King riots in South Central Los Angeles, the worst then riot in U.S. history. On May 5th, a few days after that, I took investors, oddly enough, bankers, on a tour through South Central Los Angeles, bankers bus tour, because you don't lend where you've never been. Because what you don't know is what you don't know that you don't know that's killing you, what you think you know. And that's just not about poor people and struggling families. These mainstream investors, these bankers, really didn't understand these neighborhoods. They made presumptions, they made assumptions about who they thought lived there and what they knew. And their eyes were opened when they went to go tour these neighborhoods and saw tree-lined, well-manicured homes, because those were home ownership, just like their neighborhoods. They saw really the riot happen in the retail area where there was no sense of ownership. There was no pride of ownership or community. These were people who came in, made some money, and left. And so there was this civil unrest. And I decided that capitalism and free enterprise had not done enough to advance the poor and the underserved. And so I founded Operation Hope to eradicate poverty as we know it in my lifetime and to make financial literacy a civil rights issue of our generation, and financial inclusion and access to capital the new norm. And to try to make the color not black or white or red or blue, but green. Mm-hmm. And we've expanded from South Central LA to national. We are a positive disruptor. As I know you try to be a disruptor and a positive force. We are a positive disruptor, and we are the largest in the country now. We are 4 million clients, $3.5 billion invested through our partners in underserved neighborhoods, raising credit scores 54 points in 6 months, 124 points and 120 points in 24 months. And nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points in most people's lives. And so that's been my life's mission. And I do believe if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was alive today, this would be the sort of work he would be doing.
Incredibly important, and just endless respect for the work that you've been doing with Operation Hope. To talk a little bit about Robinhood as well, just plain and simple, financial literacy is one of the core tenets behind what Robinhood is about. And Robinhood was built with a mission of making access to financial services in the stock market something that wasn't just for the people that had it before or people that had wealth, but should really be something that is available for all Americans to be able to be a part of. And the idea behind Robinhood was, how do we tear these barriers down? And the concept was, we make something that is more cost effective and designed on mobile for this new generation. And today we've seen that around 50% of our customers are first timers to Robinhood and to the stock market. And giving those people access to financial information and financial literacy is something that is absolutely critical to what we do. And obviously we have a tremendous amount of respect for you and the work that you've done, and are excited to be a part of it. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about Operation Hope and the work that you guys are doing with financial literacy.
Yes, well, we are America's financial coach. Operation Hope is sort of the private banker to the working class and the struggling class and the struggling and the poor and the underserved in this country. Basically, anybody that's sort of making $60,000 a year or less, which is half this country, has been our customer base. So we're in physical offices in 30 plus states, financial coaching, I'll call them Hope Inside locations. We're providing financial coaching for Fortune 500 companies all the way down to local enterprises, school districts, police departments, helping the folks who work there to regain the dignity in their life. I think that today, financial literacy education access to capital and access to opportunity is the primary or a primary civil rights issue that everybody needs today to bridge these gaps and to move us forward. And so it's important that all sectors of economy embrace this ethos. We've had success in many other sectors, but we did not have success in the investor, retail, brokerage sector. So this Bill of Rights was our attempt to create a moral high ground. Let me tell you, there's 10 points, but there's 4 points that I'll obsess on right now as a bucket. Number one, retail investor education. Number two, retail investor qualification and educational incentives. Number three, improve transparency of transaction costs and incentives. Number four, disclosure of large investors. If I had to take the 10-point plan, Baiju, and break it down, I'd say basically it's half more disclosure and half more active financial literacy education. And I ultimately would love to see this live through the veins of how you do business. Now talking to you and what I think is so powerful, I want to hear your view of why you think this Investor Bill of Rights is important, why you guys decided to sign it.
I guess the place to start is also from what our perspective on financial literacy and inclusion is from our own personal experiences as immigrant kids that grew up in the U.S. And I think the part about this that's really resonant is that in our society, money and how people in our society, young people learn about money, it's cultural, it's through families, it's through your friends. Mm-hmm. It's not something that's taught in school. Yeah. And I remember I grew up in the US because my parents had immigrated here shortly before I was born. Actually, a similar story with Vlad. His family moved to the US when he was about 4 years old, and both of our families came to the US to pursue higher education. And neither one of us had very much money growing up. And, I think the one thing I was blessed to have as a child was the values that my parents instilled in me, which was that education was going to be a path forward, right? As the one kid or, a handful of kids in my class that, looked pretty different from everyone else, this was the thing that I could focus myself on. And if I did, I'd be able to have a better life. And I think the central the central thing that Vlad and I keep kind of coming back to is the genesis for what would become the idea for Robinhood came from, looking around at our peers after 2008 and the Great Recession happened, and realizing that, neither one of us had despite our expensive and sort of educations, we had never had any training on financial literacy. We'd never learned about this in school. And when we looked around at our peers that were just entering the working world, that were in their early 20s, we saw a generation that was starting to feel like the financial system just wasn't for them at all. Mm-hmm. And we kind of had this belief from the beginning, which was that if we could build technology that made it so that more people could be a part of the system, that this would be one of the first steps towards actually leveling the playing field for a much broader audience. And so I think the idea of financial literacy and financial inclusion and financial access, these are the absolute central concepts of Robinhood. And, one of the things that has been the central principles of building Robinhood has been, in order for us to build a product that makes sense for this next generation of consumers, the only way we can do it is if we spend time with people that are, going to be the people that use Robinhood, not the people that have invested before, but really what the next generation looks like. And we built Robinhood by, testing our product week in, week out with people that we would, meet on the street in front of a coffee shop, or people that we'd recruit from things like Craigslist ads online, and seeing the perspective that ordinary folks, not people that had been investors or had grown up with generational money, thought about investing. It became really clear that education and access were intrinsically tied. And from the beginning, the focus on helping people be more empowered through access and education has been kind of central to the company. So I guess that's a way of saying that when we learn more about the Bill of Rights and Operation Hope, it felt very resonant with the mission that we were trying to pursue. And you've heard me say this before. We're not perfect in the way that we've built the company. We've made mistakes along the way, but we've always been committed to, again, learning and getting better.
What things off top of your mind? I want to spend a lot of time on this, given the point we are with the company in the world right now. But with what you can talk about, what things with regard to customer engagement, customer service, or improvements at all, just top of mind of yours that you think you could make advancements with, generally speaking, right now?
Making Robinhood stable, reliable, as well as helping meet customers where they are. I think the first place that this kind of comes to life is with things like customer support. And this year, we've been slowly and steadily rolling out voice customer support for more and more use cases and to more and more of our customers. Obviously, trying to do this in a way that is measured and responsible to the business, because we want to be able to scale this and provide it in a way that is most impactful. Yeah, it's all stuff that we're continuing to make more and more investments in, and as we scale the business, I think you'll see more of it.
So I look forward to seeing you all not only sign the Investor Bill of Rights as the first signatory, which I think is a landmark effort on behalf of the entire investment brokerage community. And hopefully others will follow. But I also look forward to seeing you actualize and operationalize the values contained therein.
I appreciate that. And like I said, pursuing this mission and doing what we think is the right thing to do, we're committed to it every day. And it's just a process of learning and getting better. Thank you so much.